Hello once again, witchy people. Today's topic: is the term black magic racist? Now, in today's climate, this is an issue that has to be addressed, and that in itself is quite a sad condemnation of our world and how we treat people based on their skin colour rather than on each person's merit. So with that in mind, before I go forward with this video, I hope you'll allow me to make a brief statement. I stand beside those who are marginalised and feel marginalised, and although being a person of apparent white ethnicity, I cannot even begin to truly understand how racism affects anyone. I believe that bigotry and prejudice are wrong. They're abhorrent. Black lives matter. And in saying that, I'm saying that all lives matter, regardless of skin tone. And that this world now has to stand up and admit that we treat people differently because of skin colour. And in a time when we are supposed to be so forward thinking and so civilised, it's painful to have to state the obvious and make this declaration of unity. We stand together and we say Black Lives Matter. And what Black Lives Matter as a movement is saying and is trying to say is that all lives matter equally. That black lives have to matter just as much as anyone else's. The hashtag Black Lives Matter isn't a new movement, it isn't a new struggle. The fight against racism has been going on for generations upon generations, and Black Lives Matter, although becoming an important statement phrase following the murder of African-American George Floyd, it was actually first widely used back in 2013 after the death of teenager Trayvon Martin. Now, I'm going to leave his name below and suggest that you look up, Google it or something, Trayvon Martin, and read why the term Black Lives Matter first started to become forefront. So that's it. Thank you for listening to that statement, and I hope it's taken in the way it was intended. As a white person, I actually find it quite difficult and uncomfortable talking about racism, and because I've never suffered it, and I think most white people do find it quite uncomfortable because they don't want to appear ignorant in any way. So I hope it's taken as it's intended. So, is the term black magic racist? Now, historically, there may be some truth to this, and it has a lot to do with the ancient Egyptians and the ancient Greeks and the ancient Romans, apparently. It's quite convoluted and would take a long time for me to explain. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to link below a PDF page that is a paper written to explain and expose the historical facts, but it is one person's point of view and their viewpoint, and regardless of whether you agree with what was written or not, the paper is a very thought-provoking essay, and it does make some clear and detailed points. It does skirt around some other issues, and as I say, it's one person's viewpoint, but it's well worth a read. Now, if I were to say to you the words black country, how would you react? What would you think? Now, for me, the Black Country is an area, it's sort of northernish. I think it includes part of Birmingham, and it is above Birmingham. And it's named after, I think, the coal deposits and the black soot that covered the land pre and during the Industrial Revolution. It was and is very much so, a part of England where the residents are very, very proud to be called peoples of the Black Country. It kind of denotes that you are from a place where hard work and innovative ideas are the backbone of life, where neighbours tend to be friends, and all neighbours stand up in a community as one. They stand as a community together. It has no racial connotations and no hidden meaning behind the word black. What I'm trying to explain is that for many people who use the term black magic, there is no racial slur intended. Now, personally, using black and or white to describe magic or witches doesn't sit well with me. It never really has. Have I used the term before? Of course. It was once, and actually still is, a widely used way of describing an aspect of magical working or practice. People will use the words black and white not to suggest that white is better or superior. It's just a way to describe opposites, with grey being used, I guess, to describe the middle ground. Is it okay to use the term black magic or white witch? Well, if that's for you, then of course, carry on, using those words, those labels. But if you do, you may have to also accept being told by others that the words are not particularly socially acceptable now. On the flip side of that, witches who have read the history of where the term black magic may have derived from have to understand that those who do use the term black magic are not being racist. Their intent isn't to offend or insult any more than using the term grey magic is used, to be bigoted towards grey aliens. But really, is the term black magic racist? I think we have to accept that it may once have been used that way by some ancient peoples, and that's something we'll never know for sure, because we can only pick apart history and follow the threads that may or may not lead to suggestion and half conclusions. Each historian and seeker will follow a different thread and may draw very different conclusions from the same core facts. For witches today, it's not meant as a racist phrase. It isn't used to describe the colour of someone's skin, nor a reflection of what one witch thinks about another due to skin tone. I believe as witches, one and all, we have to start listening to each other more. Don't overanalyse. Don't see something that isn't there in someone else's choice of words. It's better to explain why we have differences or why we don't agree than to hit out and possibly seem to be abusive. It's better to listen to someone else's point of view, even if you don't agree with it, and learn something, than to be ignorant. Sometimes we have to accept that we may hurt each other's, even if that is unintentional. And sometimes, just sometimes, we may just have to agree to disagree. So there you go. That's my thoughts on, is the term black magic racist? I think ultimately you have to draw your own conclusions, read into it what you will, but not, if you read the historical essays and writings, then, you can draw some conclusions, maybe. Then on the other hand, you may not. As I said, it's perfectly okay to pick what's best for you. As I said, it's not something I've used, especially the term white witch. I've hated the term white witch because it suggests that magic in itself is good or bad. Magic is just energy. So there you go. I'm going to stop now. Thank you for listening, witchy people. I'll be back very soon. And I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. It's the weekend now where I am. So, yes, enjoy yourselves. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.